Hey folks, today we are taking a look at something a little bit different. Now, since I am at my parents' place for the holidays, I decided to take a look at something a little bit odder from my collection. This is Dragon Shiryu from the Knights of the Zodiac toy line. For those of you in the know, Knights of the Zodiac was a release of what is known as Saint Seiya here in the United States. Saint Seiya is a world-known property. Saint Seiya is huge in Europe. It is massive in Italy, believe it or not. And it's also very big in Japan. It is a very, very, very long-running manga series, and it has spawned multitude of television shows, and it has been running since, I think, the late 70s. This is one of the titular characters, Shiryu, who is of the dragon constellation, and his bronze cloth. Now, the cloths are bronze cloths, silver cloths, gold cloths, and I believe platinum cloths and god cloths, all of which are based off of constellation and gods. So here is the actual packaging in purple. The back of the packaging has the anime character, the toy in its normal Shiryu form, the dragon cloth in its statue form, and in his full cloth form. And here are the other knights the other saints that you can get. Pegasus Seiya, Dragon Shiryu, Swan Hyoga, Phoenix Ikki, and Andromeda Shun. Now, I picked up Dragon Shiryu because at the time when this originally showed in, the mid 2000s, I think 2004 is when this showed up. I just liked Dragon Shiryu the best, and this was the only one I could pick up. I believe I could pick this up at Toys R Us. Now, this is the kind of crappy United States version. The Japanese versions are much higher quality than what we've got here. As you can see from the packaging, it is pretty much just slapped in there for display purposes. Unfortunately, the box does not appear to contain any directions, so I'm going to have to guess how things go here. As you can see, this is the stand for the armor pieces. Now, all Saint Seiya figures come with a base stand for the statue mode. The one thing I don't like about this are the screw holes. Even though I've seen some of the Japanese versions of these figures, they don't have screw holes. So I'm going to do my best to get this into a good-looking statue. So here we have the Dragon Cloth in its statue mode. Now I was able to get this to statue mode pretty easily, actually. Thankfully, I just had to look at a picture of it to get it to do what I wanted it to. As you can see, all of the pieces are incorporated into the bronze cloth statue. It actually looks pretty good. I like the statue modes of the Saint Seiya figures. I generally like the statue modes. They, for the most part, look pretty cool. Now, to get this thing apart, it is pretty easy. First, we'll split the head open to get the helmet off. Just kind of wiggle the shield off. It has a clasp there. The claws are just snap on, so we'll pull those off. The chest, the chest part and the shoulder pads come in two parts, so this is actually the hardest part, is getting the shoulder pads off. You kind of have to be a little bit careful. Sometimes they'll just come off, sometimes not. And more often than not, the bottom tassel parts of the shoulder pads will just fall off. The breastplates are just two pieces. The middle part is one of his gauntlet. The skirt will just come off easily. And then the legs, or the leg braces, you just split them down the center, and they pop right off. Come on, that. And there we got the statuette form. The base figure for Shiryu looks, if I'm honest, kind of silly. The lavender jumpsuit with the bright green feet, leggings, and gauntlets, rather silly. The face is okay. It's an accurate depiction of Shiryu, Posability is actually quite good. The only thing that really is bad is the head because of the hair. There is actual posability in the head, so you can move it. Shoulders are on, I'm not sure what to call these. There's a swivel inside the body, and then there is a swivel on the shoulder itself, a swivel right underneath that, a full 90-degree bend at the elbow, and then the fists do rotate. The torso does have some articulation. It is limited. It's kind of like a G.I. Joe, but a little bit more sturdy. Hips have in and out movement. It's got plenty of articulation there. There's a swivel right underneath the hip at the upper thigh. Knees are double jointed, so you can get almost a full bend out of the knee. Well, almost a full bend. You can get a good, I'd say maybe 65-degree bend at the knee, and he kind of looks like a ballerina there. The ankles are really, really interesting. Right above the ankle is a swivel for forward and back movement. And then at the ankle itself is another swivel inside the foot for in and out movement. So that is really good. You can get some really good poses out of this guy. So assembly of the armor. Assembly of the armor is a little bit of a pain in the butt. Thankfully, there are peg holes, especially for the legs. So we're just going to start assembling the armor bits. Thankfully, the peg holes, which is not typical of Bandai quality, the peg holes are perfectly sized to get the leg pieces on. And they generally do not fall out, which if it was Bandai USA of today, I can't guarantee that. So the legs went on perfectly fine. Next is the hip skirt, which will attach, and then we need to go in the back and peg it in. And this is by far the hardest part of the whole operation because there is a peg there that goes into the skirt itself and then into a hole in his back. And sometimes that doesn't line up quite right. Next we'll do the breastplate. And this is even a little more difficult because of the hair. So just push that up. It pretty much just requires brute force. So those are on. Put the shoulder pads on. And then put the dragon claws onto the shoulder pads, like that. Then the braces, I think these would be called braces, not gauntlets. But the bracers, now these are a little bit tricky because there's a notch there that it does peg into lightly. And then you just kind of gotta hope that it holds. And the same thing for the other arm with the shield. There, and pray that holds. And then the head, or the helmet. And here we have Dragon Shiryu. Overall, this form is not bad. It looks pretty good. It's not perfect by any means, but it retains the excellent poser, or pretty much excellent posability of his base mode. The overall look is pretty good, though not as good as in the show. In all honesty, I think the dragon helmet is just way too big. As I said, his posability is fully represented here, and hey, I'm really happy about that. Now, I don't think this is the same as what was released in Japan, because it just feels too bulky to me, if that makes any sense. As I said, I think the dragon helmet is just far too big. But the figure itself looks pretty good, and I would have loved to have grabbed the other figures had I been able to find them. I think, thinking back to it, I'm pretty sure I actually bought this thing at Sam Goody. I don't think I saw Knights of the Zodiac figures in a toy store. I could very well easily be wrong on that. This is just my memory, but I remember, I think I got this guy at Sam Goody, which at the time was the only place I could get anime. So I picked it up there. So overall, I think this is a pretty good figure. If I could get the other 4, I would. I think it's a lot of fun. I'm going to try looking around online, just seeing what I can find. If you guys like this and would like to see more Saint Seiya, please let me know. I find Saint Seiya to be very interesting, especially the current Saint Seiya Omega. I love that show. I think it's a lot of fun. And I think the figures could be a lot of fun as well. So this has been Dragon Shiryu, and this is the first time I've ever taken a look at Saint Seiya, so let me know what you think.